important for you not only to know the problems that we face in the United States, but I think you need to know the global challenges because you're coming out at a time when the global issues are really big, and we cannot separate ourselves from those global issues. So you might as well know, where does the United States stand in the midst of all that? But before we get there, let me tell you about the problems we have in the United States. Because it's not enough to put numbers on the page or to shovel numbers around or to reallocate. What you need to do is have enough understanding of what the entity is that you're the accountant for, so that you understand this operating cycle and you understand what these numbers mean. We all start off as accountants with historical numbers because we look at the audits of prior years. But we're also looking at the budget for this year. How are we going to better, last year? And we now have to look beyond just 1 year. We have to look 3 to 5 years if you want any kind of a plan. Besides, a budget would be good for 1 year. You need a plan for 3 to 5 years. But now you need to look 10 years. Why? Because we got to see where these numbers are going to understand if we are going to be, as a country, sustainable. That's going to be a big word in the vocabulary in the future. Because even the accountants today are saying, you know what? When we put out the annual report for the United States of America, we may need to put in some documents with numbers on them that show whether or not the trend for us is sustainability, or are we going to be unsustainable? What does that word mean, you think? Okay. When are we unsustainable? We're unsustainable if we keep spending money we don't have, borrowing from countries we don't trust. That's when we put the American dream in jeopardy. Because we keep kicking the can down the road. That's what we're doing right now. If you're reading the papers, is anybody trying to solve anything? If you see this super committee, they got until the 23rd. They still don't have a compromise. And I read today, Boehner is now almost giving up to speak. He said, you know what? It's $1.2 trillion. Maybe we should come up with half that and at least get something going now. Half that. The deal was supposed to be a big solution. What did Senator Simpson and Erskine Bowles say? They were remember the President's Debt Commission? They were the two people that were appointed. They've been going around. They just testified in front of the super committee. And they said, you gotta think big. Don't go for this $1.2 trillion. It's not enough. The debts of the United States is still rising. We got to turn this debt curve around. It's got to be at least $4 trillion. The Committee for Responsible Federal Budget said the same thing. I say the same thing. They can't even agree on $1.2 trillion. That's how dysfunctional our government is today. I hope you're reading the papers. I read the Wall Street Journal. I think they cover this stuff pretty well. So, sustainability is a very key word. If we're not going to be sustainable, what does that mean for you? That means your quality of life. It's not going to be what your parents want. You're not going to be able to buy a home and, retire nicely because we're just not growing. And that's where we are right now, stagnant. Now, is that going to continue? It depends on the policies that elected officials come up with. These are domestic policies mainly. How are we with our monetary policy? How are we with our fiscal policy? So, key word is sustainability. Are we going to be able to live within our means? Are we going to be able to reduce the national debt so that when the Fed decides it's going to stop printing money, guess what's going to happen? Interest rates will start going up. Why are interest rates now below 1%? Ask your parents. Ask yourself if you have a 401k. What are you earning at the bank? Hardly any interest, correct? Why? Because you can sell treasury bills. People are buying treasury bills around the world because it's safe, not because there's any return on it. But that's what the Fed has done. They've artificially kept interest rates low. Because if those interest rates go up, you're going to sure unemployment is going up too. But at some point, you got to let it go. Because as the economy starts getting better, you'll have inflation. And as inflation, some inflation, that will drive interest rates up. Or at least then the Fed has got to say, like Greenspan said for many years, we can't have too much inflation, so they let interest rates rise. Now, what's the problem with that? We have $15 trillion in debt. And we've kind of financed that debt short term. We used to have 10-year bonds, 20-year, 30-year bonds. Most of that debt now has been reduced to 1, 2, 3, 4 years, which means as we refinance it, any increase in the interest rates takes effect immediately. And that interest is part of our budget. Right now, I think the interest we paid last year, I'm waiting for the numbers, is about $200 billion. That's still a lot of money. But imagine if interest rates go back to 6, 7, 8%. God forbid they go back to where Jimmy Carter had them, with stagflation, which we could be feeling right now in part, stagnant economy with inflation. You know what the prime rate was back in 1979? 21%. So let's say it goes back to 10. What's 10% of $15 trillion? $1.5 trillion. Now you might say, how did it jump so big? It won't go that fast because of that $15 trillion, approximately $5 trillion is, guess what? In the Social Security Trust Fund. So we don't pay interest on it, but we accrue the interest. And we pay it out when we pay out the entitlements. But let's say it's $10 trillion in debt. That's $1 trillion in interest if it's 10%. Big change from 200 million. And it could go there in the next 5 years. We don't know because we've created this artificial economy right now to keep unemployment down